Commander Kate Phillips had never seen so many ships in one place. Thousands of human vessels filled the space around New Arizona, the biggest human colony outside Earth. Cargo ships, passenger ships, military ships, and tiny personal craft all waited in long lines. Everyone was trying to leave at the same time. "How many people are we moving today?" Kate asked her assistant, Lieutenant Ben Clark. Ben looked at his screen. "About 50,000 from New Arizona, but we still have 22 more colonies to empty. This is going to take months." Kate rubbed her tired eyes. She had been working for 3 weeks straight, trying to organize the biggest move in human history. 847 million people had to pack up their entire lives and go back to Earth or the other planets in the Sol system. Admiral Sam Rodriguez's voice came over the radio. "Kate, we have a problem. The Thorgani are blocking the hyperspace route to Columbia Station. They say we're moving too many ships too fast." Kate swore under her breath. The Thorgani were making everything harder on purpose. "Can we go around them?" "Yes. But it means going through the Razor Belt asteroid field. That's dangerous with civilian ships." Kate thought for a moment. Families with small children were on those ships, but if they did not move, they would miss the deadline. "Do it. Send military escort ships with them. We cannot let the Thorgani slow us down." On the surface of New Arizona, Dr. Helen Torres was having her own problems. She was in charge of packing up all the research from human colonies. Some of the research was secret. Some of it was dangerous. All of it was important. "Doctor, we found something strange," said her assistant, Jake Wilson. He was young and excited about everything. "In the old files from Titan Research Station, there are references to artifacts that we never heard of." Helen stopped packing and looked at the files. "These dates are wrong. They say these artifacts are from before humans left Earth, but the locations are in deep space." Jake nodded. "I thought it was a mistake too, but I checked 3 times. The files say ancient human artifacts were found in the outer rim, near the edge of the galaxy." Helen felt a chill run down her spine. How could there be ancient human artifacts in space that humans had never been to? "Copy these files to a secure drive. Do not tell anyone else about this." While Helen was discovering mysteries, Carl Mason was breaking the law. Carl owned the biggest manufacturing company in human space. He had factories on 6 different worlds. The Council wanted him to destroy his factories so aliens could not use human technology. Carl had other ideas. "Move the fusion reactor from the Mars facility to the hidden base on Europa," he told his manager, Susan Gray. "And get the quantum computer cores off Kepler 442b before the inspectors arrive." Susan looked worried. "Carl, if they catch us moving this equipment, we could go to prison." Carl smiled. "If we do not move this equipment, humans will be stuck in the Stone Age when we get home. The aliens want us weak. I am not going to let that happen." Carl had been secretly building hidden storage facilities in the Sol system for months. He was moving the most important human technology to places the aliens would never find. It was risky, but Carl believed humans would need that technology someday. Back on New Arizona, families were saying goodbye to their homes. Mary Johnson stood in her empty house, holding her 5-year-old daughter Emma. They had lived on New Arizona for 10 years. Emma had been born here. It was the only home she had ever known. "Why do we have to leave, Mommy?" Emma asked. Mary did not know how to explain it. "How do you tell a child that the whole galaxy is afraid of humans?" "We have to go live with Grandma and Grandpa on Earth for a while." "Will we come back?" Mary looked out the window at the orange sky of New Arizona. The two suns were setting, painting everything in beautiful colors. I do not know, sweetheart. Maybe someday. The evacuation ships were getting full. Captain Doug Miller was flying one of the big passenger ships. His ship was designed for 3,000 people, but he had 5,000 on board. Families were sleeping in hallways and storage rooms. "Captain, we're getting reports of engine problems on Transport 7, his co-pilot said. Doug looked at his screen. Transport 7 had 8,000 people on board. If their engines failed in hyperspace, they would all die. "Send Engineering Team Alpha to help them, and contact Admiral Rodriguez. We need more escort ships." The problems kept getting worse. On Columbia Station, the Kepler inspectors were demanding to search every ship. They said they were looking for stolen technology, but they were really just trying to slow down the evacuation. Commander Phillips was losing her patience. "They have no right to search our ships," she told Admiral Rodriguez. "I know," Rodriguez replied, "but if we fight them, it gives them an excuse to attack. We have to be patient." Patient? "We have 6 days left to get everyone out of Columbia Station. If the Kepler keeps searching ships at this speed, we will never make it." Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. "Use the back routes. The old mining paths, through the asteroid belt. It will take longer, but the Kepler will not follow us there." Dr. Torres finished copying the mysterious files and joined the evacuation from Titan Research Station. As her ship pulled away from the station, she watched it get smaller and smaller until it disappeared. 30 years of human research was being left behind, but the files in her bag might be more important than all the research they were leaving. Ancient human artifacts in unexplored space? It did not make sense. Unless the history books were wrong about something very important. The evacuation continued for months. Every day, more ships filled with humans headed back to the Sol system. Every day, human colonies became empty and quiet. The aliens watched and waited, making sure every human left. Some colonies were easier to evacuate than others. The mining. Colonies had small populations and moved quickly. The agricultural colonies had millions of people and took weeks to empty. The research stations had dangerous materials that needed special handling. By the end of the year, the last human ship left galactic space. Commander Phillips watched from the bridge of her command ship as the final transport disappeared into hyperspace. 847 million humans were now crammed into the Sol system. The aliens had gotten what they wanted. Human space was empty. But they had made a mistake. They thought exile would make humans weak and afraid. Instead, it made them angry and determined. Carl Mason's hidden factories were already working again. Dr. Torres was studying the mysterious artifact files. Engineers and scientists were designing new ships and weapons. Humans were not planning to stay exiled forever. The aliens thought they had solved their human problem. What they had really done was give humans time to get ready for war. President Maria Santos stood at the window of her office on Earth, looking up at the crowded skies. Thousands of ships moved between Earth, Mars, and the outer planets every day. The Sol system had never been so busy. 800 million refugees needed homes, jobs, and hope. "We cannot keep living like this," said Dr. Peter Lang, her chief science advisor. "We have too many people in too small a space. The space stations are overcrowded. The planetary cities are full. We need a plan." Maria nodded. "What do you suggest?" "We go inward instead of outward," Peter said. "We stop trying to spread out and start getting smarter. We build better technology. We design better ships. We prepare for the day when we go back out there. Maria smiled. You mean when we take back what is ours? I mean when we show the galaxy that exiling humanity was the biggest mistake they ever made. Maria signed the Terran Isolation Protocol that same day. No more messages to alien governments. No more trade requests. No more diplomatic meetings. Humanity would turn its back on the galaxy and focus on becoming stronger. Dr. Amy Foster was working in her laboratory on Europa when she made the discovery that changed everything. Amy was studying zero-point energy, trying to find new power, sources for the overcrowded Sol system. She had been working on the same problem for 2 years with no success. Then, on a cold Tuesday morning, something clicked. That is impossible, she said, staring at her computer screen. The numbers showed that she had created a stable zero-point field that produced more energy than anything humans had ever seen. Her assistant, Mike Gray, looked over her shoulder. Are you sure the sensors are working correctly? Amy ran the test. Again! Then she ran it 10 more times. Every time she got the same result. She had found a way to pull unlimited energy from empty space itself. Mike, do not tell anyone about this yet. I need to be absolutely sure. Amy worked for 3 more weeks, testing and retesting her discovery. When she was finally sure it worked, she called Peter Lang directly. Peter, I need to see the president immediately. I have something that will change the world. Meanwhile, on Mars, General Paul Mitchell was having problems of his own. Paul was in charge of human defense, but his ships were old and weak compared to alien technology. The human fleet had been designed for exploration and trade, not war. We need new ships, he told his engineering team. Ships that can fight. Ships that can win. Chief Engineer Jake Miller had been thinking about the same problem. Jake was young but brilliant. He had studied every piece of alien technology that humans had ever captured or traded for. General, I have been working on some new designs, but I need better power sources. Our current reactors are not strong enough. That was when Dr. Foster's discovery reached Mars. When Jake saw the test results from the zero-point experiments, his eyes got wide. With this kind of power, I can build ships like nothing the galaxy has ever seen, he told General Mitchell. Faster ships, stronger ships, ships with weapons that will make the aliens wish they had never heard of humans. Dr. Nina Clark was having a very different kind of success on the research station orbiting Jupiter. Nina was an archaeologist who studied ancient civilizations. Before the exile, she had worked on alien worlds, digging up the remains of species that had died out millions of years ago. Now she was studying the mysterious files that Dr. Torres had saved from Titan Research Station. The files talked about ancient human artifacts found in deep space, far from any place humans had ever been. This does not make sense, Nina told her research partner, Dr. Bob Turner. According to these files, humans were exploring the galaxy thousands of years ago. But we know that humans only left Earth 200 years ago. Bob looked at the data. Maybe the files are wrong. Maybe someone made a mistake. I do not think so. Look at these star maps. They show locations beyond the edge of known galactic space. Places that no current civilization has ever been to. If these maps are real, they could lead us to worlds that the Galactic Council has never seen. Nina spent months studying the ancient files. Slowly, a picture began to form. The artifacts were not from the current human civilization. They were from an older human civilization that had explored the galaxy long before the current alien species had developed space travel. Bob, I think we have been looking at this all wrong. What if humans are not the newcomers to the galaxy? What if we were here first? Dr. Foster's zero-point energy discovery led to breakthroughs in every field. With unlimited power, human engineers could build things that had been impossible before. Jake Miller designed new hyperdrives that were twice as fast as anything aliens used. Other engineers created energy shields that could stop any weapon. The aliens had, but the most important breakthrough came from Dr. Torres, who was still studying the ancient artifact files. Using the new zero-point computers, she was able to decode more of the ancient data. "Nina, you need to see this," Helen called to her colleague. "I have been able to translate more of the ancient files. There are complete star maps here, maps to regions of space that no one has ever explored." Nina looked at the maps on Helen's screen. They showed vast areas beyond the galactic rim, filled with habitable worlds and rich resources. The ancient humans had marked safe routes through dangerous space and identified worlds perfect for colonization. "These maps are like a treasure guide," Nina said. "They show us places where we could build new colonies without anyone knowing about it." General Mitchell understood the importance immediately. "If these maps are accurate, we could secretly build an empire beyond the edge of known space. The aliens would never know we were there until it was too late." President Santos called a meeting of her top advisors. Dr. Foster showed her the zero-point energy technology. Jake Miller showed her designs for the new ships. General Mitchell showed her plans for a secret military buildup. Dr. Clark and Dr. Torres showed her the ancient star maps. "How long will it take to build the first new ships?" Santos asked. 6 months for a prototype," Jake replied. 2 years for a full fleet. "And how long to establish secret colonies using these maps?" 3 years for the first settlements," General Mitchell said. 10 years for a significant presence." Santos made her decision. "Do it. Build the ships. Prepare the fleets. Find the worlds. The aliens think they have caged humanity. What they have really done is given us time to grow claws." The Sol system became a massive construction zone. Shipyards worked around the clock building the new vessels. Training centers prepared crews for the advanced technology. Research stations developed new weapons and defensive systems. But the most important work was done in secret. Small scout ships began leaving the Sol system using Jake Miller's new hyperdrives. They followed the ancient star maps into unexplored regions of space, looking for worlds that could become humanity's new strongholds. The aliens monitoring the Sol system saw increased activity, but they thought humans were just trying to deal with overcrowding. They did not realize that humanity was preparing for a return that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Carl Mason's hidden factories were producing advanced technology around the clock. Amy Foster's zero-point reactors were powering ships beyond alien comprehension. Nina Clark's ancient maps were guiding human scouts to worlds that would become the foundation of a new empire. The exile that was supposed to keep humanity small and weak was instead making them stronger than they had ever been. And soon, the galaxy would learn that caging a predator just makes it more dangerous when it finally gets free. Admiral Tony Carter stood on the bridge of the Sovereign, watching the stars through the main window. The ship was the first of the new human fleet, built with zero-point energy and technology that made alien ships look like toys. Today, 10 years after the exile, humanity was finally ready to return to the galaxy. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Captain Steve Morgan from the navigation station. Steve was one of the best pilots in the human fleet, chosen to lead the first. "Secret mission beyond the galactic rim," Tony nodded. "Begin Operation Starfall. Take us to the coordinates from the ancient maps." The Sovereign and its escort ships disappeared into hyperspace. They were heading for a region of space that no current galactic civilization had ever explored. If the ancient maps were correct, they would find worlds perfect for human colonization. Back in the Sol system, Susan Bell was preparing for the biggest job of her life. As colony coordinator, she was in charge of planning humanity's secret expansion. Her teams had studied the ancient maps for years, identifying the best worlds for human settlement. "We will start with 12 colonies," she told her planning committee. "Each one will be hidden from galactic civilization. Each one will be self-sufficient. Within 5 years. Lieutenant Roy Adams was working on a different part of the plan. As intelligence officer, his job was to gather information about what was happening in the galaxy while humans had been exiled. Roy had built a network of spy satellites and hidden sensors throughout galactic space. "The aliens think we have disappeared," he told Susan during one of their planning meetings. "They have no idea we are still watching them. They have no idea what is coming." The first secret colony was established on a world the humans called New Haven. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. It was hidden in a star system beyond the galactic rim, exactly where the ancient maps said it would be. Captain Morgan led the first colonist ships to New Haven. The journey took 3 weeks using the new hyperdrives, but it would have taken alien ships 6 months to make the same trip. "This world is perfect," said Dr. Frank Watson, the chief terraforming engineer. Frank was in charge of making sure human colonies could survive and grow. "The atmosphere is breathable. The soil is fertile. The weather is stable. Our ancestors knew how to pick good worlds." Dr. Watson had developed new terraforming technology using zero-point energy. His machines could change a planet's environment in months instead of years. Within 6 months, New Haven had cities, farms, and factories that could support 1 million people. But New Haven was just the beginning. Over the next 2 years, human scout ships found 11 more worlds suitable for colonization. Each world was carefully chosen to be hidden from galactic civilization, but close enough to each other for mutual support. The second colony was built on a world called Liberty. The third was on Independence. The fourth was on Freedom. The humans were making a statement with their choice of names. They were no longer the exiled refugees begging for acceptance. They were free people building their own civilization. Admiral Carter established the first secret naval base on a moon orbiting the world called Defiance. The base was hidden inside a large asteroid, invisible to alien sensors. From there, human fleets could patrol the outer rim and protect the growing colonies. We now have 12 worlds, 30 space stations, and over 10 million people living beyond the galactic rim, Susan Bell reported to President Santos. "The colonies are growing, faster than we ever imagined." But while humans were building their secret empire, something else was happening in the galaxy. Lieutenant Adams first noticed it in his spy satellite reports. "We are getting strange readings from the outer edge of galactic space," he told Admiral Carter. "Ships that do not match any known alien design, and they are moving toward populated systems." The reports got worse over the following months. Entire star systems were going dark. Alien colonies were sending desperate distress calls before their communications stopped completely. Something was attacking the galaxy from the outside. Dr. Watson was the first to understand what was happening. He was reviewing the intelligence reports when he recognized the attack pattern. "I have seen this before," he told Admiral Carter. "In the ancient files. The same thing happened millions of years ago. Something called the Vex swarm. The ancient human records described the Vex as an insectoid species that consumed entire civilizations. They came from outside the galaxy, eating everything in their path. They had destroyed the original human civilization and many other species, before disappearing back into the void. "They are coming back," Dr. Watson said, "and the current galactic civilization has no idea how to fight them." Admiral Carter reviewed the intelligence reports with growing concern. The Vex swarm was moving slowly but steadily through the outer regions of galactic space. They were consuming alien colonies at the rate of 1 star system per month. At this rate, they will reach the core worlds within 5 years, he told President Santos during a secure communication. The Galactic Council's fleets are completely outmatched. Santos was quiet for a long moment. "What do our ancient records say about fighting the Vex?" "The records are incomplete," Carter replied. "But they mentioned that the ancient humans had weapons specifically designed to fight the Vex. Unfortunately, those weapons were lost when their civilization fell. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was in panic. The Zephyrians had lost 3 colonies to the Vex attack. The Thorgani had lost 2. The other species were demanding answers that no one had. Chief Counselor Velthak called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The same chamber where humanity had been exiled 10 years ago was now filled with frightened alien leaders. "We need help," said General Crox of the Thorgani. "Our weapons cannot penetrate Vex armor. Our ships are too slow to escape their attacks. We are losing this war." Counselor Ithran of the Delphini spoke through her water tank. "Perhaps we made a mistake 10 years ago. The humans had advanced technology. Maybe we should contact them." Velthak's feathers ruffled with anger. "Never. Humans are dangerous. We will not make them stronger by asking for their help." But other counselors were not so sure. The Kepler had lost an entire fleet trying to stop a single Vex hive ship. The smaller species were begging for protection that the Council could not provide. "We need to consider all options," said Counselor Zenth of the Altarians. "Pride will not save us if the Vex consume our worlds." Back in human space, President Santos was making her own difficult decisions. The intelligence reports showed that several alien species were secretly trying to contact Earth. They were desperate for human help against the Vex threat. "What should we tell them?" asked Dr. Foster during a cabinet meeting. Santos looked around, the table at her advisors. Admiral Carter, General Mitchell, Dr. Foster, Susan Bell, and the other leaders who had spent 10 years preparing for humanity's return to galactic prominence. "We tell them nothing yet," Santos said finally. "Let them suffer a little longer. Let them understand what it feels like to be powerless and afraid. When they are desperate enough, when they are willing to beg, then we will consider helping them." The secret human colonies continued to grow while the galaxy burned. New Haven now had 5 million people. Liberty had 3 million. The other colonies were growing just as fast. Human fleets patrolled the outer rim, staying hidden but watching everything. "The Vex will reach the core worlds within 2 years at their current pace," Lieutenant Adams reported. "The alien fleets cannot stop them. They are going to lose." Admiral Carter smiled grimly. "Good. Let the aliens taste defeat. Let them learn what it means to be exiled from their own homes. When they come crawling to us for help, we will be ready to dictate terms." The galaxy that had exiled humanity was now facing destruction. The species that had been so afraid of human expansion were about to lose everything to an enemy they could not defeat. But humanity was no longer the weak, desperate refugees who had been cast out 10 years ago. They were a hidden empire, with advanced technology and growing power, and soon Very soon, they would emerge from the shadows to reclaim their place in the galaxy. Captain Steve Morgan watched through his ship's telescope as the Vex fleet consumed another alien world. The planet Altair 7 had been home to 50 million aliens just 1 week ago. Now it was a dead rock covered in strange metallic structures. That the Vex used to harvest resources. "How many ships are we counting?" asked his co-pilot, Lieutenant Jane Davis. Steve checked his sensors again. "Over 200 Vex vessels. They are stripping everything useful from the planet and moving it to their hive ships." The Vex looked like giant insects made of metal and flesh. Their ships were organic, growing and changing as they consumed more resources. Each Vex creature was part of a larger mind that controlled the entire swarm. "Have you ever seen anything so ugly?" Jane asked. Steve shook his head. "The ancient records were right. These things do not just kill. They consume everything. They turn entire worlds into more ships for their fleet." Dr. Angela Davis was studying captured Vex specimens in her laboratory on the secret human base. Angela was a biologist who specialized in alien life forms. The specimens had been collected from a damaged Vex scout ship that human forces had found drifting in space. "These creatures are fascinating and terrifying at the same time," she told her research team. "They are part biological, part mechanical. The individual Vex creatures have no independent thoughts. They are all controlled by larger queen minds." Her assistant, Dr. Mark Wilson, looked at the specimens under a microscope. "How do we kill something that can adapt to any weapon we use?" "That is the problem," Angela replied. "Every time the aliens try a new weapon, the Vex adapt their armor to resist it. Within days, the same weapon becomes useless." The Galactic Council was in complete chaos. The Altarian colonies had been completely destroyed. The Thorgani had lost half their fleet trying to protect their homeworld. Even the proud Zephyrians were retreating from the Vex advance. Chief Counselor Velthak stood before the emergency council session, his blue feathers gray with stress. "We have lost 17 star systems in the past 6 months. Our combined fleets cannot stop the Vex advance." General Crox of the Thorgani was missing an arm from his last battle with the Vex. "Their ships are too fast. Their weapons cut through our armor like it is made of paper. We need new strategies." But the Council had no new strategies. Their military leaders had tried everything: mass attacks, defensive formations, hit-and-run tactics, even suicide missions. Nothing worked against the Vex swarm. The smaller species were the first to break. The peaceful Kepler had always relied on the larger species for protection. When that protection failed, they faced extinction. "We must consider all options," said Counselor Marin of the Kepler. Her 4 arms shook with fear as she spoke. "Even options we rejected before." Veltak knew what she meant. "You want to contact the humans." "Yes," Marin said firmly. "The humans had advanced technology. Maybe they know how to fight the Vex." "The humans are exiled," Veltak replied angrily. "We cannot trust them. They are too dangerous." Counselor Ithran of the Delphini floated in her water tank, her tentacles moving nervously. "More dangerous than the Vex? The Vex will kill us all. The humans might only enslave us." The debate went on for hours, but fear was stronger than pride. The Council voted to send a secret message to Earth, asking for human help against the Vex threat. But the humans already knew about the Council's problems. Lieutenant Roy Adams had been monitoring all alien communications since the Vex invasion began. He knew exactly how desperate the aliens had become. They sent 3 different messages. To Earth, he reported to President Santos. The official message from the Council, a private message from the Delphini, and a desperate plea from the Kepler. Santos smiled coldly. What do they offer in exchange for our help? The Council offers to lift the exile and restore human colonial rights. The Delphini offer to share their water purification technology. The Kepler offer to give us their star charts of the inner galaxy. Not enough, Santos said. They need to understand that humanity is no longer begging for scraps. We are offering salvation, and salvation has a price. Meanwhile, Ambassador Ellen Price received an unexpected visitor on Earth. A small, unmarked ship landed at the human diplomatic facility outside Washington. The ship carried Counselor Ithran of the Delphini. Ithran's portable water tank was barely large enough for her to survive outside her home environment. She had risked her life to come to Earth personally, bypassing the Galactic Council entirely. Ambassador Price, Ithran said through her translation device. My people are dying. The Vex have destroyed 4 Delphini worlds. We need human help. Ellen had been expecting this visit ever since the Vex invasion began. Why should humans help the species that exiled us? Because you are better than we are, Ithran replied. We acted from fear. You can act from wisdom. Ellen studied the alien ambassador. Ithran was clearly desperate, but there was also genuine regret in her words. What can you offer in exchange for human assistance? Anything, Ithran said. Technology, resources, territory, name your price. But Ellen already knew what the price would be. President Santos had been very clear about humanity's terms. On the secret human base orbiting Defiance, Admiral Carter was reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The Vex were now only 18 months away from the galactic core worlds. At their current rate of advance, they would reach the Zephyrian homeworld within 2 years. Have we learned anything new about Vex weaknesses? He asked Dr. Davis during their daily briefing. Actually, yes, Angela replied. The ancient human records mention something called neural disruptors, weapons that could break the connection between individual Vex and their queen minds. Can we build these weapons? I think so. With our zero-point technology and the information from the ancient files, we might be able to create something similar. Admiral Carter felt a surge of hope. How long would it take? 6 months for a prototype. A year for mass production. That was the news President Santos had been waiting for. Humanity had the technology to defeat the Vex, but they also had the time to dictate terms to the desperate aliens. The second emergency council session was even more chaotic than the first. The Vex had destroyed 2 more star systems, while the council debated. Refugee ships filled with terrified aliens were fleeing toward the galactic core. We have no choice, said General Crox. We must accept human help, whatever the cost. But Velthak was still resisting. The humans will use this crisis to make themselves stronger. They will demand concessions that will give them power over the entire galaxy. Good, said Counselor Marin. Better to be ruled by humans than eaten by the Vex. The final vote was close, but desperation won. The Galactic Council officially voted to request human assistance against the Vex invasion. The message was sent to Earth with the Council's formal seal. President Santos read the message in her office, surrounded by her cabinet. The same aliens who had exiled humanity 10 years ago were now begging for human help. What are our terms? Asked Admiral Carter. Santos had been planning this moment for years. Full restoration of human colonial rights, permanent human representation on the Galactic Council, reparations for the economic damage caused by the exile, and recognition of human sovereignty over the Outer Rim territories. They will never agree to all of that, said Dr. Foster. Santos smiled. They will when the Vex get closer to their homeworlds. Fear makes people very reasonable. The human response to the Galactic Council was simple and direct. Humanity is willing to discuss assistance against the Vex threat. Send representatives to Earth to negotiate terms. What the aliens did not know was that humanity was already preparing for war. The secret colonies were mass-producing ships and weapons. Human fleets were moving into position beyond the Galactic Rim. Dr. Davis's neural disruptor prototypes were being tested and refined. The galaxy that had rejected humanity was about to learn that their former victims had become their only hope for survival. And that hope would come with a price that would reshape the balance of power throughout the stars. President Laura King stood at the head of the conference table in the White House Situation Room, looking at the faces of humanity's top leaders. Laura had become president 2 years ago when Maria Santos retired. She was younger and harder than Santos, shaped by 15 years of exile and the knowledge that humanity was now strong enough to dictate terms to the galaxy. The alien delegation arrives tomorrow, she announced. This is the moment we have been preparing for since the exile began. Admiral Paul Mitchell, now Supreme Commander of Human Forces, spread out tactical displays on the table. Our fleets are in position throughout the Outer Rim. We have 40 new battleships equipped with zero-point weapons and neural disruptors. The aliens have never seen technology like this. Dr. Lisa Grant, now in her 70s but still sharp as ever, leaned forward in her chair. Are we sure we want to help them? They exiled us without mercy. Maybe the galaxy would be better off without the current alien civilizations. That is exactly why we need to help them, said Admiral Tony Carter from his position at the far end of the table. If we let the Vex destroy the current powers, we will have to fight the Vex ourselves eventually. Better to use the aliens as allies against a common enemy. King nodded. Tony is right, but our help comes with a price. The galaxy is going to learn that humanity is no longer a junior partner, begging for acceptance. The alien delegation arrived at Earth aboard a Zephyrian diplomatic ship. The ship was escorted by human vessels that made the alien craft look primitive by comparison. The new human ships were sleek and powerful, with energy signatures that confused alien sensors. Chief Counselor Velthak led the delegation, along with representatives from 6 other species. They were the same aliens who had voted to exile humanity 15 years ago, but now they looked desperate and afraid. Ambassador Ellen Price met them at the Lunar Space Station. She had aged gracefully and was now Earth's senior diplomatic official. Her experience with alien cultures made her the perfect choice to lead the negotiations. "Welcome to human space," she said formally. "President King is waiting for you on Earth." Velthak's blue feathers were grayer than Ellen remembered. The stress of fighting the Vex had taken a toll on all the alien leaders. "We appreciate humanity's willingness to meet with us." "Willingness?" Ellen smiled coldly. "You came begging for our help. We are being generous by listening to your request." The meeting took place in the same room where humanity's exile had been planned 15 years ago. But now the humans sat at the head of the table while the aliens waited nervously for their decision. President King entered the room, surrounded by her advisors. She was tall and confident, wearing a simple blue suit that somehow made her look more powerful than all the elaborate alien uniforms. "Counselor Velthak," she said, taking her seat. 15 years ago, you told my people that some species are meant to stay small. You said humans were too dangerous to be allowed to grow. Do you remember those words?" Velthak's yellow eyes looked down at the table. I remember, and I have come to understand that we made a mistake. A mistake? King's voice was ice cold. You destroyed the lives of 800 million human beings. You forced us to abandon our homes and our dreams. You tried to cage us in our own solar system. That was not a mistake. That was a deliberate act of oppression. Counselor Ithrin of the Delphini spoke up from her portable water tank. We acted from fear. The Vex crisis has shown us that our fears were wrong. Humanity's strength could have helped us avoid this disaster. Your fears were not wrong, King replied. You were right to fear human power. You just did not understand that trying to suppress that power would only make it grow stronger. General Crox of the Thorgani, still missing his arm from fighting, the Vex leaned forward. We did not come here to debate the past. We came here because our people are dying. Will you help us or not? King studied the alien leaders for a long moment. These were the same beings who had shown no mercy to humanity 15 years ago. Now they sat in human space, begging for human help. We will help you, she said finally. But our assistance comes with conditions. Name them, said Velthak quickly. Admiral Mitchell stood up and activated a holographic display. First, all human exile orders are permanently revoked. Humans will have the right to travel and settle anywhere in galactic space. Agreed, said Velthak without hesitation. Second, humanity will receive permanent representation on the Galactic Council. Not as a junior member, but as an equal partner with full voting rights. The alien delegates looked at each other nervously. This would give humans significant political power in galactic affairs. Agreed, said Ithrin after a moment of silence. Third, continued Mitchell, the Galactic Council will pay reparations to humanity for the economic damage caused by the forced exile. The amount is 50 trillion galactic credits to be paid over 10 years. This time, the aliens protested loudly. That is impossible, said General Crox. The Council Treasury does not have that much money. Then you will find it, King said firmly. You cost us 15 years of growth and expansion. The bill has come due. Fourth, Mitchell went on, humanity claims sovereign rights over all territories in the outer rim beyond current galactic boundaries. These regions will be considered human space, with no interference from the Galactic Council. Velthak's feathers ruffled with anger. You are demanding half the galaxy. We are claiming the half that you never bothered to explore, King replied. The half that we have already begun to colonize with our superior technology. The aliens were shocked. They had no idea that humans had been secretly building colonies beyond the galactic rim. You have been violating your exile, accused Counselor. Marin of the Kepler. We have been preparing for our return, Admiral Carter said with a smile. While you thought we were trapped in the Sol system, we were actually building an empire in unexplored space. Dr. Grant activated another display showing the locations of human colonies. 12 worlds, 40 space stations, and over 15 million people living beyond the reach of galactic civilization. This is why you will accept our terms, King said. We no longer need your permission to exist. We are offering to save you from the Vex because it serves our interests, not because we need your approval. The alien delegates spent hours debating among themselves in their various languages, but they all knew the truth. Without human help, the Vex would consume their entire civilization within 2 years. We accept your terms, Velthak said finally. When can human forces join the fight against the Vex? King smiled for the first time during the meeting. Human forces are already in position. Captain Ryan Blake will lead our first battle group to the front lines within 3 days. Captain Blake, now gray-haired but still commanding the battleship. Sovereign had been waiting for this moment since the exile began. His ship was equipped with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. The Sovereign battle group consists of 12 ships with zero-point weapons and neural disruptors, Admiral Mitchell explained. Our technology is specifically designed to fight the Vex. How do you know so much about fighting the Vex? Asked Ithran. Dr. Grant answered, because we have been studying them for 15 years. The ancient human records contain detailed information about Vex biology and tactics. While you were trying to keep us weak, we were preparing for the day when the Vex would return. The meeting ended with the signing of the Treaty of Luna, named after the space station where it was negotiated. The treaty formally ended humanity's exile and established the terms for human assistance against the Vex. But as the alien delegates prepared to leave, President King had one final message. Understand this clearly, she said. Humanity is not returning to galactic civilization as the same species you exiled 15 years ago. We are stronger now. We are smarter now. We are more dangerous now. You created this situation by trying to cage us. Now you will live with the consequences. The aliens left Earth knowing that they had just fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer a junior partner seeking acceptance. They were now a major power demanding respect. And in 3 days, the galaxy would see just how powerful humanity had become when Captain Blake's fleet engaged the Vex for the first time. The exiled refugees were about to become the galaxy's saviors, and that salvation would reshape the entire galactic order. General Patricia Lewis stood in the command center of the massive human space station Olympus, watching data streams from across the galaxy. Patricia was the new Supreme Military Coordinator, chosen to lead the joint human-alien campaign against the Vex swarm. The walls around her displayed tactical information from 100 different battles. General, we have reports from the Xerion front, said her aide, Captain Dan Foster. The combined fleet has engaged a Vex hive cluster. Early reports show our neural disruptors are working. Patricia nodded, but her face remained serious. What? About casualties? Light losses for human forces. Heavy losses for alien ships. The Zephyrians lost 3 cruisers before they learned to stay behind our defensive screens. The war had been raging for 6 months since Captain Blake's first engagement with the Vex. That battle had shocked both humans and aliens. Blake's 12 ships had destroyed a Vex fleet of 30 vessels without losing a single human life. The secret was Dr. Angela Davis's neural disruptor technology. The weapons sent focused energy bursts that severed the connection between individual Vex creatures and their queen minds. Without central control, the Vex ships became helpless and easy targets, but the war was far from over. The Vex swarm was enormous, with thousands of ships spread across dozens of star systems. Every victory against one Vex fleet revealed 2 more fleets moving deeper into galactic space. Commander Dan Foster was leading the assault on Nexus 7, a world that intelligence reports identified as a major Vex breeding facility. Dan was Patricia's younger brother and one of humanity's best tactical commanders. Nexus 7 is heavily defended, he reported during the mission briefing. Satellite reconnaissance shows over 50 Vex hive ships in orbit, plus defensive platforms on the planet's surface. His strike force consisted of 20 human ships and 40 alien vessels from 6 different species. It was the largest combined operation since the war began. Remember, Dan told his fleet commanders, the aliens cannot penetrate Vex defenses on their own. Human ships will punch holes in their formation. Alien ships will exploit those gaps to reach the planet. Dr. Nina Clark was not fighting battles, but her work was just as important. Nina had spent months studying the ancient human records, trying to understand why the original human civilization had fallen to the Vex. "I found something disturbing," she told Dr. Helen Torres during their weekly research meeting. "The ancient records suggest that the Vex are not just invaders. They are cleaners." "What do you mean?" "The Vex appear every few million years to consume civilizations that have grown too large or too aggressive. It is like they are gardeners, pruning the galaxy to keep any one species from becoming too dominant." Helen felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying the Vex were sent by someone?" "I am saying the Vex serve a purpose, and if we defeat them, whoever sent them might send something worse." Meanwhile, the battle for Nexus 7 was reaching its climax. Commander Foster's human ships had broken through the Vex orbital defenses using concentrated neural disruptor fire. The alien ships followed behind, targeting the confused and disorganized Vex vessels. "Human ships, this is Admiral Zenth of the Altarian Fleet," came a transmission. "We owe you a debt we can never repay. Your weapons have given us hope." Dan smiled grimly. "Save the thanks for after we win this war, Admiral. The ground assault on Nexus 7 was led by human marines equipped with portable neural disruptors. The Vex ground forces were even more terrifying than their ships. Massive insectoid creatures with razor-sharp claws and acid-spitting abilities. But the neural disruptors worked just as well on the ground. Vex warriors suddenly stopped coordinating their attacks, becoming confused and vulnerable. Human forces systematically destroyed the breeding facilities that had been producing new Vex ships. "Nexus 7 is secured," Dan reported to his sister. "But General, you need to see what we found in the deepest breeding chambers." The discovery was disturbing. The Vex were not just breeding more of themselves. They were creating new types of creatures, specifically designed to fight human neural disruptor technology. "They are adapting," Dr. Davis explained when she reviewed the specimens. "The Vex Queen minds are learning how our weapons work and creating countermeasures." General Lewis understood the implications immediately. "How long before their adaptations make our weapons useless?" 6 months, maybe less. "We need to end this war quickly, before the Vex develop complete immunity to neural disruption." Dr. Torres had been working on that exact problem. Using the IDEAT's ancient human records and the new specimens from Nexus 7, she had developed something she called a quantum virus. "It is not really a virus," she explained to the military leaders. "It is a self-replicating energy pattern that attacks the quantum structure of Vex neural networks. Once it infects one Vex creature, it spreads to all creatures connected to the same Queen mind." "Will it work on the primary Vex consciousness?" asked Admiral Carter. "In theory, yes, but we would have to get close enough to the galactic core to deploy it. That means fighting our way through the entire Vex fleet." The aliens were skeptical when they learned about the human plan. The galactic core was the most heavily defended region of Vex space, protected by hundreds of hive ships, and the massive Queen Mind itself. "It is suicide," said Chief Counselor Velthak during the strategic planning session. "No fleet has ever penetrated that deep into Vex territory." "No fleet has ever had neural disruptors before," replied Admiral Mitchell. "And no fleet has ever had human ships." The final battle began 3 months later. Admiral Carter led a combined fleet of 200 ships toward the galactic core. The human ships formed the spearhead, with alien vessels providing support and covering the flanks. The journey to the core took 2 weeks, fighting through layer after layer of Vex defenses. Each battle was harder than the last, as the Vex threw more ships into the defense of their central command. "We have lost 40% of the alien ships," reported Captain Morgan during the final approach to the core. "But human losses are still minimal." "The aliens are buying us time and position with their sacrifice," Carter replied. "Make sure their sacrifice means something." The Queen Mind was enormous, a living ship the size of a small moon. It was surrounded by protective hive ships and defended by weapon platforms that fired beams of pure destruction. "Deploy the quantum virus," Carter ordered when they reached firing range. Dr. Torres activated the deployment system from her position on the flagship. The virus was contained in a special torpedo designed to penetrate the Queen Mind's defenses and deliver its payload directly to the creature's neural core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Queen Mind began to convulse. The virus was spreading through its neural network, attacking the quantum foundations of its consciousness. "It is working," Torres reported. "The virus is replicating exponentially. The Queen Mind is losing control of its subordinate creatures." Throughout Vex space, individual creatures suddenly stopped receiving orders from their queens. Hive ships drifted aimlessly. Ground forces stood motionless. The entire Vex war machine ground to a halt as their command structure collapsed. "All Vex ships are powering down," reported the tactical officer. "They appear to be retreating to the edge of the galaxy." Admiral Carter watched as the massive Vex fleet began its withdrawal. The creatures that had terrorized the galaxy for 2 years were fleeing back to the darkness between galaxies. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "The war is over. We have won." The celebration throughout the galaxy was immediate and overwhelming. Species that had been facing extinction just hours before now danced in their streets. The Vex threat that had united enemies and created unlikely alliances was finally defeated. But Dr. Clark's research suggested that the victory might be temporary. The Vex had retreated before, only to return when the galaxy least expected them. "This is not the end," she warned General Lewis. "This is just the end of this cycle. The Vex will return someday, and we need to be ready." The war had changed everything. Human technology had proven decisive in the galaxy's greatest crisis. Human leadership had coordinated the largest military campaign in galactic history. Human sacrifice had saved civilizations that had once tried to destroy them. Now the galaxy would have to live with the consequences of humanity's return to power. The species that had been exiled as too dangerous had just proved that they were dangerous enough to save everyone. President Laura King stood before the rebuilt Galactic Assembly on Zentara Prime, the same space station where humanity had been exiled 20 years ago, but everything had changed. The assembly chamber had been redesigned with humanity holding a position of honor at the center. Representatives from dozens of species looked to the human delegation with respect and gratitude. "The Vex War is over," King announced to the assembled delegates. "The immediate threat to galactic civilization has been eliminated. Now we must decide what kind of galaxy we want to build from the ashes of that conflict." Chief Counselor Velthak, now much older and humbler than the proud leader who had once exiled humanity, spoke first. "Humanity saved us all. The Galactic Council formally offers humanity full membership with all the rights and privileges we should have granted you decades." "Go," King smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "That is very generous, Counselor, but humanity must respectfully decline your offer." The chamber erupted in surprised whispers. Representatives who had expected humanity to eagerly rejoin galactic civilization were shocked by the rejection. "We do not seek membership in the old order," King continued. We seek recognition as an equal power in a new galactic arrangement. Admiral Sam Rodriguez, now serving as humanity's first ambassador to the reformed Galactic Assembly, stood up to explain. During our exile, humanity established an independent civilization beyond the galactic rim. We now control 47 worlds, 200 space stations, and over 50 million people in the outer territories. The numbers were staggering. While the established galactic powers had been fighting for survival, humanity had quietly built an empire larger than most individual species. We propose a new arrangement, Rodriguez continued. The galaxy will be organized into spheres of influence. The traditional core worlds will remain under the authority of the reformed Galactic Council. The outer rim territories will be recognized as human space, under the authority of the Terran hegemony. Dr. Frank Watson, now serving as humanity's chief diplomatic advisor, activated a holographic display showing the proposed territorial divisions. The map shocked the alien delegates. Humanity was claiming control over nearly a third of the galaxy's habitable regions. "This is outrageous!" protested General Crox of the Thorgany. "You cannot simply claim ownership of half the galaxy." "We are not claiming it," King replied calmly. "We already own it. Our colonies have been established for over a decade. Our fleets patrol those regions. Our people have built cities on those worlds. We are simply asking for recognition of existing facts." Counselor Ethran of the Delphini spoke from her water tank. "What about the smaller species? The ones who supported you during the war? Do they have a place in this new order?" King's expression softened slightly. "Any species that wishes to join the Terran hegemony as an equal partner will be welcome. We have learned from the mistakes of the old council. The hegemony will be based on mutual benefit, not domination." Several smaller species immediately expressed interest. The Kepler, who had always been oppressed by the larger powers, saw the Terran hegemony as their chance for genuine independence. The peaceful Altarians were attracted by humanity's promise of protection in exchange for cooperation. Jake Miller, now serving as the Director of Human Technology Development, stood up to address economic concerns. "The Terran hegemony will share our advanced technology with member species. Zero-point energy, neural disruptor weapons, quantum computing, and terraforming technology will be available to our allies." This offer was impossible for smaller species to refuse. Human technology was decades ahead of anything available in the traditional galactic economy. Species that joined the hegemony would have immediate advantages over those that remained with the old council. "You are bribing them," accused Velthak. "We are offering them a better future," King replied, "something the Galactic Council never bothered to do." The negotiations continued for weeks. The Treaty of Terra Nova, named after humanity's first secret colony, established the new galactic order. The galaxy was formally divided into 3 regions: the core worlds under the Galactic Council, the outer rim under the Terran hegemony, and the neutral zone between them where both powers could operate freely. Captain Steve Morgan, now an admiral in charge of Human Exploration Command, was preparing for humanity's next great adventure. The ancient star maps had revealed routes leading beyond the galaxy itself into the vast emptiness between galaxies. "We have identified 17 potential pathways to other galaxies," he reported to President King. "Some of them may lead to civilizations even older than the Vex." King studied the star charts with fascination. "Are we ready for that kind of exploration? Our ships are faster and more powerful than anything in known space," Morgan replied. "But more importantly, We have learned to be careful. The ancient humans were destroyed because they expanded too quickly without understanding the dangers. We will not make the same mistake. Dr. Nina Clark, now the director of xenoarchaeological research, had spent years studying the ruins of the ancient human civilization. Her discoveries suggested that humanity's origins were far more complex than anyone had imagined. The ancient humans did not evolve on Earth, she told the president during a private briefing. They came from somewhere else, somewhere beyond this galaxy. Earth was just one of their colonies. Are you saying humans are not native to this galaxy? I am saying humans are returnees, not newcomers. Our ancestors explored this galaxy millions of years ago, before any of the current species had developed space travel. We have more right to be here than anyone. This revelation was kept secret from the galactic community, but it explained why. Humanity had adapted so quickly to space travel and galactic civilization. They were not learning new skills, they were remembering ancient ones. The economic transformation of the galaxy was swift and dramatic. Dr. Watson's terraforming technology allowed the rapid colonization of previously uninhabitable worlds. Jake Miller's manufacturing systems produced goods faster and cheaper than traditional alien methods. Within 5 years of the war's end, the Terran hegemony had become the galaxy's dominant economic power. Species throughout the galaxy were using human technology, buying human products, and adopting human methods. We have achieved something remarkable, Admiral Carter told King during one of their regular strategic meetings. We have become indispensable. The galaxy cannot function without human technology and human leadership. But King was not satisfied with mere economic dominance. Economic power is temporary. Political power is permanent. We need to ensure that humanity's position in the galaxy cannot be challenged by future generations of alien leaders. The solution was the Terran Defense Network, a system of automated space stations throughout the galaxy, equipped with neural disruptor weapons and manned by human crews. Officially, the network existed to defend against future Vex incursions. Practically, it ensured that no alien power could threaten human interests. The network gives us the ability to destroy any hostile fleet within 72 hours. Admiral, Mitchell explained to the Hegemony Council. No species will ever again be able to exile humanity or threaten our people. 25 years after their exile, humanity had achieved complete dominance over galactic civilization. The Terran hegemony controlled the most advanced technology, the strongest military, and the most prosperous economy in the galaxy. President King, now in her second decade of leadership, stood once again at the window of her office, looking up at the stars. But this time she was not looking at a crowded solar system filled with refugees. She was looking at an empire that stretched across thousands of light years. We have come a long way from the day they kicked us out, said Admiral Rodriguez, who had remained her closest advisor throughout their rise to power. This is just the beginning, King replied. Admiral Morgan's exploration fleets are preparing to leave the galaxy entirely. We will follow the ancient star maps to other galaxies, other civilizations. Humanity's destiny is not limited to this one galaxy. The species that had once feared human expansion had been proven correct in their fears. Humanity had indeed become the dominant power in the galaxy, but their attempt to prevent that dominance through exile had only made it inevitable. The Galactic Council still existed, governing the core worlds according to their ancient traditions. But everyone knew that real power lay with the Terran hegemony. When crises arose, galactic leaders came to humanity for solutions. When wars threatened, alien species asked for human protection. Captain Morgan's first intergalactic expedition departed 3 months later, following ancient human star maps toward a distant galaxy that the records called the birthplace of minds. The expedition consisted of 50 ships carrying 10,000 volunteers, all equipped with the most advanced technology humanity had ever developed. As the expedition disappeared into the darkness between galaxies, President King smiled with satisfaction. The aliens had tried to cage humanity within the Sol system. Instead, they had given humanity the motivation to break free of the galaxy itself. The exile that was meant to limit human power had instead created an empire that spanned the stars. And now that empire was reaching beyond the galaxy toward whatever. Ancient secrets waited in the infinite darkness of space. The age of human dominance had begun, and it would spread far